The amazing thing about the universe is that when one thing happens, more things happen. On January 19th, our good friend and fellow truth seeker Santos Bonacci was arrested. Yet, out of this unexpected circumstance, it has created new opportunity for thousands more of us to connect through the synchronistic nature of reality. And the most exciting part about this is not what has happened, but what each of us chooses to help make happen next as we continue to spiral out. This is Skull Babylon, and you're about to listen to episode 82 of Paradigm Shift Radio, in which we welcome on Kate of Gaia, a close friend of Santos, who helps provide some of her own insight on the work Santos delves into related to the truth hidden in plain sight, phonetics, astrology, and more. So if you happen to be new to Paradigm Shift Radio, then be sure to check out more of the conscious media and the global community project at ParadigmShiftCentral.com that anyone can get involved with. Get inspired and get involved. If you have not yet, feel free to spend some time continuing your research and watch the multitude of videos of Santos Bonacci's teachings on YouTube simply by running a search on his name. Join us again for future episodes of PSR at facebook.com/ParadigmShiftRadio. Share this episode with some friends, continue the conversation where you are, think for yourself, and enjoy the flow. One love.
Stop acting so small, because you are the universe in ecstatic motion. That's a little quote from our good friend Rumi, and this is Brendon, aka Skull the Wolf, aka Skull Babylon, coming with you for another exciting episode of Paradigm Shift Radio. So big shout out to everybody who is with us here tonight for another inspirational, educational episode of community, consciousness shifting, exciting stuff that is really happening all across the world, and it comes in through this exciting helix of a moment that we recognize every Sunday here on the Paradigm Shift Radio show, where all of us can really come together, where we can connect, where we can share stories, where we can continue to document our ongoing story as spiritual beings in human form, and really talk about what does that mean, and explore the vast mysteries of the universe, the vast plethora of mysteries that this universe has to offer. So of course, a big shout out to everybody who's tuned in with us tonight. This is a very, very exciting episode, and leading up from the episode that we had last week when we were originally going to be having our good friend Santos Bonacci on as a guest, but some very interesting things went down within literally a couple hours before the show actually went live last Sunday, episode 81. Santos ran into some circumstances, and he was arrested due to some things that we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. But Santos Bonacci, some of you know him, some of you don't. You can check out more of his stuff at universaltruthschool.com, and he is a well-known astrotheologist and very, very interested in a lot of the ancient knowledge that is all throughout a variety of cultures that kind of point towards similar ideas, similar concepts as to like what we are within this reality. And we're going to be talking about that tonight, not with Santos himself, but we're going to be having his good friend Kate of Gaia on, and we're going to be bringing her on very soon, as well as my good buddy Noah, who was with us last week, and he's going to be also helping co-host and joining us in this conversation. So Kate and Noah are not necessarily going to be quote-unquote guests, but they're going to be co-hosting this conversation, which is what this show is all about. And what this show is all about, again, for those of you who do not know, because we do have so many wonderful, beautiful new people tuned into the show, Paradigm Shift Radio is a branch of ParadigmShiftCentral.com, and that's the website that you can go out to check out a bunch of conscious media. This is a project that I myself began about 5 years ago with some buddies in my college, and the main idea behind this, in addition to the radio show, in addition to creating videos on the internet, is to focus on the regular creation, on the ongoing creation of physical paradigm shift communities. So a lot of us were in the situation where we feel like we have a lot of things that we have done a lot of research on. We're very excited. We want to start sharing this information, but we're not exactly sure who to share it with, or we don't have those connections made yet. That's where I really bring in the emphasis of creating a physical community. And these communities, what they are, they're just a regular open-minded discussion and meditation circle that you host on a regular basis and you invite people back into. You have that open door concept. And again, you call it a paradigm shift community with your location afterwards. So I'm from London, Ontario, Canada, so I'm part of Paradigm Shift London. There's a lot of other paradigm shift communities out there, and for those of you who have not heard, feel free to sync up. Anybody can start up a paradigm shift community where they are. Go to the main website and also sync up through facebook.com/ParadigmShiftCentral and, of course, facebook.com/ParadigmShiftRadio. Those are the two media feeds that you can get hooked up with and find all the updates there. And, again, get involved. So before we do bring our good buddies on, I just got to let you guys know about a couple community updates, and these are exciting things, and those of you who haven't tuned into the show before, this is kind of a regular thing that we do, and well, actually, first of all, let me just, I'll tell you that first, and then I'll just introduce myself after that, but what I want to tell you guys first is that you do have the opportunity to win some more shift buttons this episode, and shift buttons, those of you who do not know, shift buttons are tools to help build community and assist in the awakening of consciousness, and you can find more information and you can order some for yourself at paradigmshiftcentral.com/buttons. But if you want to get entered into a draw, which is something that we do every episode, you can send a message. So listen carefully. So shift buttons are these 2¼ inch buttons. They all have consciousness symbols on them, like the yin yang, the flower of life, the eye of Ra, the meditating Buddha. Really cool stuff. So if you're wearing a button and somebody on the bus looks at you and they're like, "Hey, cool button," you're like, "Oh yeah, you noticed. Maybe like, are you interested in meditation too?" And they're like, "Yeah, totally. Do you lucid dream?" "Oh my God, me too. We should hang out together." "Definitely." And then you make a new friend just like that. The shift buttons are a quick way to hack the matrix, and I'm not going to spend too much time talking about them because we're going to get into the meat of this episode. But again, if you go to send a message to facebook.com/paradigmshiftradio. Tell us that you want to be entered into the draw, and we'll do a draw later in the episode for at least one winner. We can potentially give out more winners for the shift buttons tonight if we get a couple donations to support the project and to also support the free button fund at gofundme.com/paradigmshiftcentral. So I'm posting the links to that in the live chat. You can also find the links for this in the info for the Blog Talk Radio episode that you are listening to. So again, gofundme.com/paradigmshiftcentral. If a couple more people send a donation there by the end of this episode, then we'll be giving out more than one batch of free shift buttons. So again, this is a very exciting thing. This is literally changing lives. Like I said, this is hacking the matrix. This is giving people the opportunity. That's what the shift buttons are. They are opportunities for being able to connect with people through synchronicity. Tapping into the synchronistic nature of reality is a beautiful way that I like to describe it. So I want to bring you guys up on speed on that. And again, of course, you can order the button through the main website at any time, and doing so is going to help you just add those exciting tools to your venture. So one other thing that I just want to mention real quick is that for those of you who do not know me, again, Brendon, Skull Babylon, those are some of the names that I go with. You can add me on Facebook at any time. Always looking to connect with more people. You can do that. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/SkullBabylon. You can find my YouTube at youtube.com/SkullBabylon. And the other thing that's pretty big and exciting news is that those of you who haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, there's a lot of projects that I've done, and one of them is actually a full-length consciousness shifting movie, and that movie is called Journey to Lucidity, The Planted Seed. Well, the exciting thing is that this April I'm going to be filming the sequel to that called Journey to Lucidity 2, Tree of Knowledge. But in order to make that happen, I'm looking for support. This is another crowdfunding opportunity. So if people want to connect with that, they can just do it through the main Facebook page for the project at facebook.com/journey-to-lucidity, and I'm just posting a link for that. So after this episode ends, when you get the time, go check out that movie for yourself. I guarantee you, if you're listening to this radio show, you will enjoy it. It has a lot to do with dream exploration. It's a journey through a transformational festival out in California. It's got some really potent themes related to sacred geometry and oneness, and just remembering what it is that we're here to do, remembering that we actually chose to be here. So those are some multi-dimensional ideas that I'm really interested in. Again, so Journey to Lucidity, check that out after you've watched it. If you want to contribute to the sequel, please do so. It helps a lot. So that's all I want to bring you guys up to speed on, and now we're going to get into this episode as we bring on our good friends Kate and also our good friends Noah. So I'm going to bring on Noah first. Noah is Paradigm Shift London, and he was with us last week, and he's just going to be another person to sort of bounce some ideas off of here, and we'll be looking for people to call into the show later in on the episode. So if you want to be brought into the show, just wait until later. Within the second half of the show, we're going to be bringing on callers to talk about maybe how has Santos's work influenced you, or what other topics of interest might you be wanting to bring up and discuss, and I'm sure Kate will have something to say about it. So with that said, I'm going to bring on Noah. So Noah, if you are ready, I'm going to bring you on to the air. So here we go. Yo, brother.
Hey, guys. Or, hey,
hey, man. Good, man. Good to hear you again. You made it just in time.
Yeah.
Right on, man. All right, so Noah, I mean, people kind of know you, but we're not really going to spend too much time on your introduction, so we're just going to bring Kate on, and then we're going to get rolling with this. So I'm sure you're fine with that, right?
Awesome.
Awesome. Okay, cool, man. All right, so we're going to bring on Kate, and just before I do that, Kate is a regular host for a show on blogtalkradio.com/Critical Mass Radio. So Critical Mass Radio is a very, very exciting show, and it's one that Santos has been involved with for quite a while. Him and Kate go back, and they've been working on this show called Syncretism for quite a while, and you can go to the main link on Blog Talk, check out all their past episodes. There's a lot of interesting conversation topics there, and also check out criticalmassradio.co.uk, and you can find Kate on Facebook, and I'll post the links in for that as well. But we're going to hear more from Kate herself, and can just really get the ball rolling and bring you guys up to speed on what's happened to Santos, what Santos is about, and what his teachings are about, and just really see where the conversation goes from there. So, Kate, if you're ready, we're going to bring you on to Paradigm Shift Radio. Here we go. Hello, Kate?
Yeah, I'm here. I was born ready.
I'm born ready. All right, awesome. All right, now, Kate, I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself. And in terms of clarity, in terms of Paradigm Shift Radio, I mean, some people, Kate obviously is not a common name associated for males, but I want you to be able to just introduce yourself and bring some clarity as to how you would like to be presented in terms of gender, because I want you to be able to say it yourself, and I think that's actually a really exciting thing, just in terms of, like, you being so authentic as to who you are. But yes, Kate, introduce the people as to who you are and what it is that you're about.
Okay, well, I know there's a lot came over. I literally just finished a show on CMR. I'm on the air 7 nights a week, and so we got lots of people that come to that table every single night. And for the ease of explanation, I'm transgendered. I'm let's just say voice is lower than boobs would indicate is kind of how I describe it. And when you see my picture, you kind of get the notion of, oh, okay, now I get it. Okay, so anyway, I do not look like my voice. Honestly, I don't, and I certainly don't act like it. But there you go. That being said, we can start at any given level. I'm going to come in at a very low level here, and I'm not being. There's no ego on this. There's a very specific reason why I say this, because there are many people that aren't quite ready or willing to hear real, to the core, to the heart of this spiritual game truth. You know, I like it's people like Santo and Sivan Bomer, Mark Passio, and Bill Donahue. These are the levels that we're at, and I'm going to do my best tonight to simplify it to make it easy for people that are caught in the literal mother tricks, the matrix, and the patrix, the father tricks. It's a duality game here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so definitely. So let's kind of just focus in on where we're sort of starting this episode from, and that is about Santos himself. So, I mean, obviously Santos is unable to join us here tonight, but in your words, maybe just explain to us a little bit about how long you and Santos have known each other, and then just explain to us in your words as to, like, what is it that Santos is about? What is the information that he is trying to get out there? What is his passion? What drives him based on your knowing of him?
Okay, Santo is one. He's in a league all his own. I've known Santo for about 2.5 years, and we hit it off. We met on an interview. We both got called in for an impromptu show with Scottish Sov Gary on Tyrannosaur Radio 2.5 years ago, and the rest, as they say, is history. And Santo and I basically have walked lockstep in terms of exposing the legal system matrix, the fraud that it is, and it's a very simple thing to get out of, but it's not easy. I think, did I lose you?
No, that's good. That was me muting Noah. We're good. Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's a lot of sound and noise in the background. I was wondering, did I just get cut off?
No,
there?
We're good.
Okay, so Santo, I mean, he is an astrotheologist of the highest order. If you want to know anything about the Zodiac and specific points of it, he, for me, is the go-to guy in all things astrotheology. My go-to guy for all things allegorical breakdown of the Bible is Bill Donahue, who I interviewed on Friday. His first radio interview ever, and I got to do it. And I was so chuffed with that. What a great show that was. That was on astrotheologyradio.com, and the archive's there if you guys want to hear it. But Bill Donahue, he also does astrotheology to a great extent as well. And one of the things that I urge people to do is watch Santo and Bill hand in hand regarding astrotheology and the Zodiac, because they're both telling you the same thing from very different perspectives. And when you put the things together, there is a wonderful coalescence of energy, and that's what I cherry pick from, because I have my own reality, my own experience that I've walked through. For those that may have seen it, the Judge Bows to Sovereign video, you might have heard of that one. That was me. a lot of people don't know that, but then
actually, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'll post a link for that in the video. That was actually my first introduction to you, the video of you. I mean, we don't have to get too much into that, but go ahead if you want to talk about that.
Well, see, here's the thing. That 2.5-minute video contained the fractal of everything I needed to completely disembowel the system, where we're at the point now. You had mentioned that Santo got grabbed there a week or so ago, and well, for me, that is the universe just saying that right now Santo has got a synchronicity school set up where he is, and he has a captive audience. There's no one else that I can think of that knows who they are as the witness. The only living being in a courtroom. For those that don't understand what the court is, if you are playing in the Admiralty with a legal name, you are dead by consent. And that's why cops will beat people up, because, well, you've already consented to be dead if you carry ID. That is a literal fact, because the name that you're using, the legal name that you're using, isn't yours. It's Crown copyright. Your mom and dad gave that away, and then they convince you to use it, and you cannot get any identification without it. But you can't use the birth certificate as identification, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if I had your mom's name with maiden, your dad's name, your date of birth, and where you were born, I can order your birth certificate online and start creating identification with it. So everyone that has a birth certificate is actually guilty of false personation or impersonating. That's what an id entity is.
Yeah, I will say, like, that's the thing that's I'm really interested in, is like you and Santos are quite versed in the legal side of things. I mean, not even that, just the term legal sort of defines it all. Just in terms of identity, in terms of just the way how governments recognize people and stuff. That's not something I'm like super versed in itself, but I'm glad people such as yourself are, and I know that's something that is going to come up within like Santos' circumstances that he's in now, and we see that sort of in the video of him getting arrested and stuff like that. But let's go back to that, just in terms of I mean, in a second I would like to get into the topic of even talking a little bit about our mysterious past, talking about astrotheology among other things, introducing people to that, and really just sort of covering some bases. But yeah, if you can just tell us, based on your understanding, I mean, from what you've heard, what is it that's happened to Santos in terms of him getting quote unquote arrested last week?
Okay, well, I can tell you I know exactly why, and it's very easy. But for people to actually grasp this, the emotions and everything, all the literal world, the physical world, and being trapped in the physical matrix gets in the way. So I need people just to clear their minds and just clear everything that you thought you ever knew as being true, because if you're still dealing in the physical, literal, no, it's quite something else. So and this is... At this point is where I want to urge people, if you really want to get a grip on this game, and it'll take you a whole day to do this, a whole day, if you can give up one whole day, it might even take you that long. I've got writings on my website. If you start at choices and read them all, you will have a completely different, very real understanding of what's going on here. This is not a physical game. This is a spiritual game, and the whole game is about, well, sound is creation. Everyone has seen enough ego proof for that. So I only speak one language now that encompasses all. I speak Phoenician. And this is what we have the system down to. Now, the reason why they came after Santo, if anyone noticed the pile of paper that they put together, that's just a measure of the threat that Santo is to their little empire. And they will do everything in their power to try to create... Well, it's, if anyone wants to get an idea of what's going on here, if you've ever seen the movie Conspiracy Theory, who were you rooting for? The guys chasing Mel Gibson or Mel Gibson? Well, of course we were all rooting for Mel Gibson, and at the end of the movie, was he not proven correct? Of course he was. And what Santo and myself and so many others are, we're the Mel Gibsons. That's what we are. We are that character in this very literal movie called Earth. Now, I can get into, we got a couple hours here, and I'll touch on phonics and the power of that, but I really, I want to touch on what Santo talks about mostly, because I bring a different perspective of astrotheology along with him. That's why we work so well together, because he's great with the technicals, and what I do is I'm Gemini, so I live in the ethereals, and I look at things anagogically to show a completely different perspective from a very different angle than what most people are used to. Here's the neat thing about it. It is so simple. People go, oh, how did I miss that? That's what I keep saying. How did I miss it? But I didn't. And we're really getting this information out, and I'm watching the world literally change in front of me because I'm changing, and I know how to do that. I show people how to get their creative back.
Yeah, definitely. There is, like, I mean, that's the thing that I think is really interesting about this show. I mean, for those of you who are tuned in and may not be familiar, I mean, regardless of what my voice may sound like, I mean, I'm coming from, like, the youth side of things. Like, this paradigm shift stuff is stuff that I started when I was, like, in my early 20s, and now I'm about 26, give or take, in human years. But what I think is so evident is the fact that, like, there is, like, a shift that is definitely occurring, and it's awesome to be able to sort of bring in everybody and all of their knowledge and bring it into this pool and just create, like, this resource and to have that collective inspiration to come out of it. So, I mean, just sort of wrapping up on, like, what it was that Santos got arrested for, and then we'll sort of segue into a couple questions that I got. I mean, from what I understand, and literally just sort of so people are clear and stuff like that, didn't they choose to arrest him just based on, like, unpaid fines for, like, parking or like some sort of vehicle related fine or something like that?
There was a lot of stuff there if you take it literally. And like I said, if you saw the pile of paper, so I need people to push that away for a second. I want to show you the spiritual reason why.
Right.
There's a much bigger reason. You see, when that happened, there was a lot of stuff led up to it, and Santo calling a couple of people out, and I've often said pick a fight, expect a fight, so I don't pick them. So there you go. But all things are perfect, and I need people to get this concept. Everything around you is perfect. You just have the illusion that it isn't. We're playing the game of God not being God. That's what this is, because if we're playing video games in God mode all the time, it gets a little boring, doesn't it?
That's exactly what I say.
Right. So we go back to level 1 and we start to fight our way through, like with, or we'll go to level 10 and all we take with us is that knife, the starting knife, and to see if we can get through that. But it doesn't work so well, especially when the guy with the multiple machine comes out and blows your brains out. But anyway, keeping it fun, keeping it light, right? Got to keep it at least literal a bit. So what happened with Santo was, and they've been putting this together for a long time. I know what it's like with these guys. When you scare them, they pull infinite resources. That's how big a threat he is. This is why I love this. He's the only guy I know can wield the Excalibur from the inside. Because here's what's happening right now. The master of astrotheology, who knows that he is the living witness and knows how to throw that back at them, is now educating a whole bunch of people, a captive audience, as I said, into this information. So see, in the system's idiocy, this is why evil, by definition, must destroy itself. So what's happened here is, well, we're gonna get Santo and get everyone angry, and no one's angry. We know what's going on. We're laughing our heads off. Look, they put it right in the belly of the beast. How are you gonna kill the Hydra? Cut its head off? No, 2 pop up. You got to take that puppy out from the heart. And Santo is a superstar in my movie, and he's going to take the whole Australian dragon down. Watch. Because what's happening now is, let's say he has 30 guys that he's talking to, and he gets this real information to them of how to make judges bow and stuff and run away, and you actually own the courtroom because it's yours. What have they done? Well, what they've done is they've exponentiated their own problem, because there's going to be 20 or 30 new guys that are coming in with the same information, so it's just going to create more and more chaos. So they've destroyed themselves. And who better than Santos Bonacci? And he knows what he's doing. The guys, get the script headline. Santo is out. System spat him out. bleeding to death, like the system bleeding to death. Okay, that's what we see, and that's the game. I see. I know how to control my timelines, and that's the lateral timeline that I'm shifting my linear to, because I have a perfect ending, and he's a superstar. Now that's the spiritual side of it. I could get into hours of how to explain that, but I won't. I want to keep it simple tonight.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
I was going to say, so I was going to ask, do you want me to go around the Zodiac and show people how to get their 12 strands of DNA back?
Well, we'll get into that, definitely.
Okay.
I think even just taking a second here to really hit upon what you're talking about, because I mean, when the Santos thing happened, I mean, we saw it through the Facebook feeds. We saw a lot of people be like, oh my God, like how could this happen? This is horrible, you know, like, and they were just like so rustled about it, you know, rustled their jimmy, so to speak. And I think I'm coming from a very similar perspective where you are, and I said this last time on the radio show. I said everything happens on purpose, even when it's by accident. So I mean, it really is this idea that, you know, like we exist beyond the present moment in a non-linear sense, and there are things that we are stepping into. There are doors that we are walking through, like metaphysical doors, so to speak, that are aligning us with the path that is going to develop the most spiritual growth for us. Like there's nothing that comes into our life that we can't handle, that isn't part of our higher growth, so to speak. And Santos is aware of this. So I mean, that's what really makes it exciting. Like you said, like he is in the belly of the beast right now. Like this is like the Jonah and the whale story sort of telling itself out. And I would love to, I look forward to hearing, you know, like what the experience was like for Santos when he gets the opportunity to share it with us. But definitely just reminding people to be like, just to step back and like Kate is saying, really see this from the spiritual story of things and realize that like this is part of like the epic. This is part of like how it's supposed, quote unquote, to happen. So I mean, there's nothing, the last thing that we want to do is to freak out, because when we freak out, when we act out of fear, we give our power away, and then like we become stupid, and then we become controlled. So I mean, the best thing that we can do, be it in this situation or a metaphor for any situation in life, is to just like be able to be mindful of what our reaction is. What is our responsibility? This is something I say sometimes, you know, like what is your responsibility? Response being the way you respond to a situation. Are you gonna, if somebody says something about your jacket and they say, you know, like, oh, that jacket's really ugly, are you gonna get really mad at them, or are you just gonna be like, okay, well, you know, like that's that person's perspective. Like that doesn't change who I am, so it's not a big deal. So I mean, it's kind of a simple example like that, but I mean, just being extra mindful is something that we are all working towards. And if you're listening to this radio station, I think you're probably definitely on that path there. And then through the example that you create, through the actions and the way that you live your life, that sort of just gives other people permission to do the same. And they say like, hey, you know, like why is that guy so chill all the time? Why is that guy so happy all the time? You know, and then it sort of rubs off kind of thing. But again, you know, just definitely what you're saying, Kate, I agree that this is not something that we want to be freaking out about. Absolutely. And yeah, it's exciting. Like this really is like a twist. There's like a plot twist right here. You know, it's like a big action movie going on.
Well, there's very simple truths here. Change your mind, change the universe, and where attention goes, energy flows. So if you are flowing attention in a negative, you're feeding the wrong side. You're feeding the angry wolf. You got to feed the joyous one. So create the headlines. You remember they used to tell us to stop daydreaming and stop looking out the window? That's because you're actually creating your own reality. And here's why everything is good and evil. Because if that wasn't done, then we wouldn't be distracted enough, and we get through our game too quickly and without any real challenges to play this game. You don't want to play the same video game over and over at the same level. It's boring. So this is why both registration, by the way, anytime you register anything, you give it away. You've actually given away your divine feminine creative essence. That's what stir is, and regis means to rule. So this is why I laugh at people that say, I own this land. No, you don't. Well, is it in your name? Yeah. Well, do you own the name? Yeah. Do you have a birth certificate? Yeah. No, you don't. You see, this is all about spiritual contracts. When you agree to something, the instant you agree to it, you're in contract. It's a spiritual game. Because this is why courts are all about, and this is how I broke it down. Courts are all about assumption and presumption to prove intent. And if I can assume and presume everything you're saying, do you guys want the master key to the game tonight?
I don't know, folks. Do you want the master key to the game? Okay, let's get some 1111s in the live chat if we want the master key to the game. That sounds pretty fun. So,
well, where else? In a comedy drama of infinite proportions in terms of the Wild Game movie, where else would you hide it to make it really funny? Well, let's hide it in a tranny. No one's going to believe it. You know, come on. Seriously, it's hilarious when you really start seeing this game as the comedy it is. Basically, we're playing a game of can I prank myself? That's what it is. And you're on candid camera, and you get to watch your movie and go, oh, I fell for that again. Oh.
Yeah, really.
You know, and that's what it is. This is about bliss, and there's nothing funnier than a good joke, and that's what we're playing here. It might not feel like it, but then how seriously you're taking the game. Are you an effect to it, or are you cause over it? And I'm showing people how to be cause. You got to be the crow again. Make the crow yours. The crown, crow, N means crow mine. N is a possessive letter. It also means infinite, nth degree. N, infinite. C, or tha, is theos, God. I can show you every letter how it breaks down. But what we're playing with here, the master key is sound, which is Phoenician. You see, for me, English is just one language of Phoenician, where Phoenician encompasses them all. And it's easy to prove. I always went to the Occam's razor of everything. So that's why this game, to me, Occam's razor style, is God being not God. How did I hone in on the name? Well, I had to think of something that everyone on the planet had, something they would take from cradle to grave, and they would fight to the death to protect. And the only thing that fit that bill was the name. And then I investigated that further, and just for people, the left brain ego needs proof. It needs confirmation. So maybe this might be confirmation enough. This is after the judge bout as well. That might be an idea that something is not what you normally see. That just is that something that normally happens? No, they went off in the left field trying to explain it. They just see that it's not normal in terms of how you think it used to be. But the thing is, I had to take my dad's ashes back to Ireland in 2011. I had no idea. I had trashed it all because I knew it was all fraud. And when I called the British High Consulate to get a passport, because I didn't have one, mine had expired, I went into very lengthy conversations with a gentleman called Page. He's no longer there. He was no longer there shortly after I talked to him. Go figure. But what happened was this. I said to Page, I said, listen, the name on the birth certificate, which is not mine, I'm trans, I've never been that name, and more importantly, I've never been that gender. Sex is between the legs. That's Scorpio. Gender's between the ears. That's Aries, the ram. Okay. And I said to him, I says, that's a Crown copyrighted name. I cannot use it because if I do, I'm actually committing copyright infringement and fraud, aiding and abetting myself into fraud. I went into the whole list, and I asked him, you want me to commit fraud, do you? And he goes, no, I don't want you doing that. And I said, so what are we going to do? What do we have to do for me to get past those that are on your side of the fence that don't know this, where I'm not going to get hassled or whatever? I have to get past your programs. And I said that literally, because that's all people are that work these jobs. They're just running programs. Right? You get in, you get trained, and you do the same thing over and over again. That's what a program is. You just keep doing the same thing. So he said, okay, well, we can get an emergency passport for you, but you have to come here in the flesh to get it. And I said, I already knew that because you need to verify, or verify. Ver from verily meaning truth, I, the self, phi, sacred creation. So the truth of I, sacred creation, is what a verification is, or verify ka ti ion. This is phonics. The key to the game is phonics. This goes so fast, so quickly. I want to keep it simple. It is all in the sound, and everyone has been programmed into the spelling where you follow certain grammatic rules. You're told that if you spell a word blank, B-L-A-N-K, it must always and only be spelled that way. And if you don't do it that way, you get a big X. And if you don't pronounce it blank, you say blanc, you'll get a big X too. So the programming starts very early in that if you don't do it exactly the way you're being told to do it, you get made to be a fool in front of your classmates with a big X on your page. All right, so that is peer pressure programming. That is negative, dysfunctional programming that is drilled into all of us. And I'm, English major, history as well. So with me, I had a lot of programming, but it was also a fascinating thing. I'm a singer-songwriter, and I've written thousands of songs. And over that time of writing, you learn certain tricks of, what words can do. So you really get inside the words. So I started pulling things apart. And as it turns out, perfect for my design, of course, because everything is perfect. You're quite right, Brendon. Everything is perfect. You just have to see the reason. because all things for a reason. And just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's wrong. You're just not looking at it from the right perspective. So you got to be the one to be in mote ion, in motion. Mote is a spell. Io is the goddess, and mine. That's what emotion, that's why they use motions in court. They want you to shun your moting ability. So you better put a mote around that castle, where you have the key, ro. That's your Christ, the keep. And that's why I tell people, go to my website, read my writings, kateofgaia.wordpress.com, especially the recent stuff, but start with choices, read them all. And I guarantee you, you will not be the same being from the first choices essay to the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Promise.
Definitely. Yeah, like I love where you're coming from with all the phonetic aspect. I mean, I think it's so easy for us to sort of like underestimate the obvious keys that are hidden within our language, and then the fact that, like, I mean, one of the things that I always bring it back to, I mean, even when you think of like spelling, you know, we spell words, but like how often do we actually think about that as like spelling, as in like casting a spell? And that's something that I'm very interested in, is the idea of like practical magic, in the sense of like how simply by writing something down and observing it with the conscious vision, it's actually like triggering some sort of program within this conscious matrix that actually like brings things into reality. So by like spelling, we are literally casting spells to bring into this reality. So I mean, that's why people say, you know, like write down something that you want to bring into your life, and then if you create a sigil out of that, I mean, that's kind of a different topic and everything, but I mean, it's good to write things down. It helps you sort of reflect, and it helps bring things into your life. But I will say, Kate, I mean, because there's a lot of things I do want to get into there, into a lot of this stuff, and we already got about an hour and 15 minutes left in the show, and time does fly when you're keeping it shifty, that's for sure. And there's a couple things that I'll get into a little bit later, but in terms of kind of going back, you know, almost speaking on behalf of what Santos would have to share and everything like that, there's a few questions that I actually had that I was wanting to ask Santos, like when he was actually on the show, and we'll sort of try and go through them almost literally as quickly as possible based on what's good for you. And I know Noah, our good friend Noah, is still with us, and I don't want to just leave him out of this, but I'll bring him on in a little bit to get some, he's got some questions off on the side. But kind of going back to, I mean, even working in with the theme of this episode, like truth hidden in plain sight, we'll sort of weave that into some of the answers as we go through these questions. But I really wanted to go back to the idea of our past episode was going to be about our mysterious past, understanding our mysterious past, because, you know, there's so much in our past that is just like uncertain. We're just going on based on somebody else's interpretation or presentation of it. But in terms of the past, I was really interested in going like all the way back. Like all the way back from like where the heck did we come from as source, so to speak, in terms of like in choosing to incarnate into like this physical form and kind of getting into like the Godhead, like the idea that you were talking about earlier. But from there and kind of like moving our way even into like the idea of what your thoughts are and what Santos's thoughts are on some of the idea of like the lost continents of like Atlantis and Mu, and how those things tie into just like sort of spiritual presentation, spiritual themes within Egypt, and then getting into things even like King Solomon, like what does that mean, you know, and like who was this Jesus guy that we keep hearing about, and getting into a few other things as we sort of move along. But again, just going back to my original question, Kate, like kind of really stepping back and looking at this from the spiritual picture and kind of getting as deep as you want to get with it at this point to really be able to help unplug people from the matrix, so to speak. Just where would you say like this whole thing began in terms of us as consciousness choosing to come into like this physical experience, and why did we choose to come into the physical experience, if you don't feel that's too big of a question?
Oh God, that's the easiest one to answer.
That's what I thought. Okay, go ahead.
Seriously, people get all technical. I don't deal in past or future because there is only now. Literally, allegorically, anagogically. When people start understanding that they've been trapped in a literal translation of their reality, when they start seeing the allegory of what's going on, they'll start to see all the stories connect synchronistically, and then you move from there into the anagogic, where you're actually defining your own reality. And this is the key that I'm handing back, because as soon as you get to the anagogic, you'll see how it was created literally. Yeah, that's a circle of creation. So how can you expect to change your creation if you don't even know how it works? So here, I'll give you from my perspective as it resonated and sat with me. Mm-hmm. Now, there's one thing I like to say. If I was God, and I am, what would I do? Okay, well, let's have a look at it from a video game perspective. You cannot play a game. Let's say the question, there's the one word, W-H-I-R-E-D, the first spiral, the first word, to me would be the tree of life. And that question would only be why. And here's how you separate from the conspiracy theorists living in the drama from those really seeking the truth. Those in the literal world will tell you all about how, when, what, where, and who. And they may brush on why, but they never really investigate the full why from a spiritual. If they do investigate why, it's from very literal. Oh, well, 9/11 happened because we wanted a war with Afghanistan or Iraq, and yeah, whatever. But most people don't realize that the spiritual intent of 9/11 was taking down of the 11, the twin towers, the Gemini, the spirit of the Zodiac. When Saturn was in Gemini, that's when the first cornerstone went in. That's Saturn was in Gemini. When the doors opened, Saturn was in Gemini, and when the buildings came down, Saturn was briefly in Gemini, all at the same time. So that ethereal from a dark principality, it's actually a light principality. That's what the Illuminati are. See, light came after God. In the beginning, God created light and saw that it was good. So, that makes God dark. That makes God void. That's the divine feminine magnetic is, the isness, the is. See, the physical is the Isis. The spiritual is the is, as Bill Clinton so aptly said. Well, that depends on what your definition of is. So that to me was an allegorical clue, and I look at everything from the allegory anagogic. So for me, at the beginning, I would ask the question, why? One, I'm bored. No one to play with. Two, I'm lonely. So what am I going to do? Well, in order to occupy my consciousness, well, why not just spend a little bit of infinity now, because there only is now, and create one monster of a game grid from that word. And then tell that same story in infinite different ways with infinite different characters from infinite different perspectives, all telling the same thing. And they do. I mean, Ophiuchus and the 12 Zodiacs, Jesus and the 12 disciplines, Muhammad and the 12 disciples, I think you call them, disciplines. What else we got? Joseph and his 12 brothers. The 12. You've got, in order to become the God self again, you have to become the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, that's is a divine feminine. That's the magnetic creation void from which all came from, the dark. To the Ra, which is the light of God that is emitted. If you want to see that in the alphabet, look at the letter Q. You'll see the egg with the sperm attached to it. That's why the queen, or the queen bee, bee is 13th warrior, Jesus. That's a claim of being that character. Now remember this is a spiritual game, and it's just a game. And everyone's taking it too seriously. They're missing the point. But that was the point, so that we would have this whole sense of not God by actually having fear. Now, an infinite immortal God, what does an infinite immortal God you have to fear? Nothing. And that's exactly what we did fear, the nothing, because that's what we created from. So for me, it's a very simple game, and it always comes back down to the Occam's razor, and everyone likes to complicate it. So let me give you the allegory of Atlantis and Lemuria. Atlantis is the left brain, Lemuria was the right. Atlantis is the analytical, technological, gotta be in the physical, meat stick literature, literal, whereas Lemurians were the spiritual, the divine feminine aspect of nurturing, and everything. These were just allegories. Now, I don't know about you, but as far as I'm aware, in this consciousness, because I came in at 0 point again, that's called conception, con, with, sept, 7, French, set, ion, which is the with God ion. That's what conception is. Okay? And that's God, you, in a complete state of unknowing. You've been wiped clean. when you pop out of Mama, as soon as you get out, what you've got everyone standing there with your canvas, and they start painting on it with their own crayons. Okay, well, you're Jewish, you're Muslim, or you're Christian, or you're Hindu, you're black, you're white, you're green, you're orange, you're male, you're female, you're tranny, whatever the case may be. And the next thing you know is before you even have a chance to say your first words to communicate exactly what you think, your canvas is already painted for you. You're believing in this. You're going to this school. You're this nationality. Look at all the divide and conquers of you. That singular point of consciousness has had to endure because somebody else told you. But that's how this game works. The game here is to be in a condition of not know, come out, and get all sense of confusion thrown at you to see if you can figure your way back out. That's what this game is. Can you get out of the trap? Can you get out of your own duping?
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, when I was kind of going through my process of just intuitively getting things, quote unquote, getting stuff, one of the things that I got was kind of just summarizing what you said, is that, like, you know, people sort of say this idea that, like, we are gods with amnesia sort of thing, but sort of realizing the reasoning behind that is a way I explain it is that, like, we as God, like, intentionally put ourselves in this prison with the intention to forget who we are, merely so that we could go through these unique experiences of remembering who we are. And I use the term prison sort of loosely. Prison can be sort of a, you know, allegorical for Matrix as well. Matrix just being a field, a game board in which, like, the moves take place. But really just
Brendon,
sort of realizing that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I love to emphasize on what you're saying. You said the word prison. Okay, can the I not sound like an E in other words? Yeah. So now it's pre-sun. Yes, this you're absolutely right. We are in the state of pre-sun. We're in the dark. Before the light, and this is what it is to be in a pre-sun state.
Right.
See how phonics works?
Yeah, it's funny. It's fun with phonics. Let me tell you that, boys.
It's crazy, awesome fun, man. You see the world. Yeah, you see the world, my friend. You really do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to show people this.
Yeah.
Look at you know the story of Cain and Abel, right?
I'm not too familiar with it, but I will say before
you've heard of it, right? Oh yeah, go ahead. Let's get Noah in here.
I was about to say I'm going to bring Noah on. Actually, he might have something to say about Cain and Abel. Noah is one of our friends, and he's Jewish actually, so he's sort of coming from that Kabbalistic side of things and that information. And there'll be something to bounce around there. But yeah, again, just really emphasizing that, like, you're right. Like this game would not be as fun if we were, like, fully consciously aware of our godness, like, all the time. Like, half the fun is sort of like going through life and having those aha moments. And a lot of people who are listening to the show have had those, and you can have those, like, every day. You can look at a tree. You can literally go outside and look at a tree and just, like, it will speak to you. Like, there is a lesson there in itself. I always look at the tree, and I mean, of course you have, like, the as above, so below, microcosm, macrocosm, the trees in the vein. The trees in the tree that you're looking at is the same trees that are in your vein, and, like, the idea that you can flip a tree sideways, and to me that sort of represents the representation of time, in the sense that branches go into our past and branches go into our future in a quantum sense, and we're moving through these parallel realities, but, like, there's more than one that exists at a time. But anyways, I just really love the exciting aspect of the fact that we are here to have those aha moments, and when we do, the most important things that we can do is to step into our power, and then to be able to help assist others, because there's so many people that don't see that, you know, like, they are just like Bob and Jenny and Joe, and they're just going and they're doing their shopping and they're going to the movies and they go home and they sleep, and not too often do they sort of think that they are more than just, like, the story that their ego creates for them as to, like, who they've been told that they are as that person. But again, so I'm gonna bring Noah on, and Noah's going to get into this conversation. But I will say, just before that, since we do have literally just a huge amount of awesome people in the live chat, for everybody in the live chat, we do this at least once an episode, and I just want to invite you guys and use this opportunity. This is a great opportunity for us as shifters from across the globe to be able to connect with each other. So to everybody who's in the live chat, all 163 of you, literally, I want you guys to take this moment to post your Facebook profiles or another website into the live chat, and consider consider that an invitation for anybody else who sees it to add you so that you guys can connect. And also a reminder that the live chat through the show is a very exciting thing, and we also have a 24/7 live chat through the main ParadigmShiftCentral.com website. So after the show ends, you can feel free to get involved with that. And another thing that I want to invite people to is that after the show ends, we will be having a video hangout after party through Google+, and you can find the link for that through the Facebook.com/ParadigmShiftRadio. So that's another exciting thing. So there's a lot of awesome stuff that we get out of this show. It's a great chance for us to connect as a community. So again, seeing lots of posts in the live chat, so that's great, and I'll be sure to add some of the people through there as well. So with that said, of course, Kate, thank you so much. We're getting a lot out of this, and we got an hour left in the show, so I'm really looking forward to diving deep. And we're going to get into the astrotheology aspect of it. And I do have a sound clip that we can play of Santos sort of talking a little bit about astrotheology, and that will potentially sort of launch us back into that topic. But let's hear from Noah first, and Noah's got either a couple comments or a couple questions, and then we'll just continue spiraling the conversation out from there. So Noah, if you're ready, I'm going to bring you back onto the air. So here we go. Yo,
Kate.
Noah, welcome back.
Nice to meet you, Kate. I'm Noah.
Nice to meet you, Noah. Did you know everyone in the world is a Jew?
What a way to introduce it.
It's true, though. I can prove it.
No, I
carry
fully,
on. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I fully resonate with that.
Sorry. Noah, just talk a little bit louder and move yourself a little bit closer. I'll just say that before you get started.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's okay, but if it can be a little louder, then it's probably fine, though.
Okay. Yeah, no, I fully resonate with what you said. I mean, that's a very deep concept in and of itself. But I was really interested in how you broke down the English language. And even when you said Israel and how you broke it down with English, I'm just wondering if you have studied Hebrew and the gematria and the mathematics behind that, because like that's kind of like, I haven't done that in English, but I've been doing that extensively in Hebrew, and just the mystery and the secrets of each word and each letter, especially in terms of how it affects like not only the sound and the vibrational frequency of each letter and each sound as a total word. The way I think about it is like, you know, the first human beings that tried to express love and make a word into a tangible reality, something that was so abstract within their minds, to finally be able to conceptualize it into words. It was like this original sound. And like, I want to describe love, for example, and like, I guess like some of these ancient languages like Sanskrit and Hebrew, that the word for love is also so emotionally charged with the energy of love that was first experienced when the language was created. And especially also just related to the mathematics behind each letter, and how certain words that have a certain mathematical sequence relate to other words. For example, the unspeakable name of God in Hebrew equals 26. And just playing with a simple gematria, which is the mathematics, so too is the word one love. And things like that, just kind of revealing deeper truths about the shapes of the letters and the mathematics and the sounds, and how much that has so much to do with creation. So I'm just interested if you've dabbled with a lot more ancient languages as well.
Oh yeah, I correlate actually Santos is a better one with Hebrew sounds and Arabic. But what I do is I correlate multiple languages into the phonics to show how it works in every language, and it brings all the same meanings, and it does. It all comes back to love when you finally see it. Everything does. And here's the thing, and this is why, and Santo and I have spent many nights proving this, that the chosen people are the Jews. And we're all Jews, but we have to choose to be a child of the tribe of Judah. Tribe of light. Isn't it funny that the tribe of light that makes their camp east of Eden numbered 186,400? Ironically, coincidentally, the speed of light. That's what they were called, the children of the light, right? But also Judah, inversely, has to be the betrayer, the one that you trust the most. So there's your Judas. Judas, right? So, yeah, I get into, I'll give you an example. There was a word you just said there. Let me show you how silence translates using Phoenician, which is the original sound. Everything in the universe is created with sound. That's universal law. And to show people, if you want to hear the God voice, all you have to do is simply this: close your eyes, get quiet, get still, and say the word rabbit in your head without mouthing it. Just say it. Did you hear it? Yes, you did. Did anyone else hear it? There's the trick. That's the voice of God. That is how creation was made. So what I'm getting people to do is to get into that silence, and I'm going to show you why silence is gold and is so powerful. Psi is the Greek letter number 23, Psalms, Psi, Psalms. All right, and it means spirit. Any word with and I don't care what language it is, if it has the sound of psi or say or see or so or su, it all relates to spirit. And I can show you phonetically how in multiple languages it all correlates. So there's psi, the spirit. El is intent, Israel. It is the culmination of the masculine feminine, the magnetic electric. By the way, it just so happens to be, coincidentally, me, M-E, magnetic electric. L is the correlation of that would be something like the Holy Spirit. It is the culmination of that energy that creates and manifests. So psi, the spirit of intentive manifestation. Ent, which means mind. Ment means mind, ent means mind, ship means mind, hood means mind, psi, or anything to do with spirit, all means mind. And our gold, make the L silent, our God, because L can be silent in a word. I don't have any rules in phonics. Then when I take all the rules out, I reapply all of the rules. Roman maxim, Roman law based on Phoenician law, says that those that make the rules must obey the rules. So I make the rules and I obey the rules, but I've learned how to reverse or to rewrite them, to make it go backwards. You have to reverse, as in to rewrite a song. You don't like the verses, then you redo them. They're reversed. Okay? And then you turn them backwards. So you have to reverse and then reverse it. This is the mirror world, boys and girls. This is Alice on the other side of the looking glass saying, over here, boys and girls, is way more fun. That's where I'm standing. I've been there for a long time. And people are really getting this, and I'm watching the reality shift. Ability that I have, and I can prove how that works. But I wanted you to know, Noah, that everyone on this planet, I don't care what color, whatever, it's the concept with 7, with God. It just so happens that phi, sacred geometry, is the 21st letter. How do you write God in Hebrew? 777 looks like?
Sorry, say that again. How do you write it in Hebrew?
Yahweh.
Yeah.
It looks like 3 sevens, does it not? There's your 21. There's your Trinity. There's your 3. There's your... Now, here's another one. You've heard of the court term pro se. I'm going in pro se. Well, what are you saying? Well, what you're saying is this. Pro is Latin for. I use Latin, Greek, German, you name it. Pro means for in Latin, and se means himself, herself, itself. Se is creation. That's why when you say something, you're creating it. You had said about emotionally charged. And that's what's happened to us, is we have become emotionally charged to little squiggles on a piece of paper. I could send you something written in Japanese characters that says it could be the most heinous thing you would ever get if I put it in a language you were spellbound into. But you would get that and look at it, and you'd throw it in the garbage. It would have no power because you didn't have any agreement with the squiggles. As soon as you have agreement with the squiggles, you're spellbound. So I'm here to break that spell.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's like? You've talked to me about this before, like how what is it, like love is like the same numerical value as God or something in
one love.
One love. Yeah.
I mean, because what's really happening is that it's all just language is so mathematical in so many ways. We don't even we're so not aware because we're so used to wasting words. And like you said with the spells, it's literally what we're doing all the time. Like even when I say like, oh, I can't do that, like that was just a spell. I've then probably just sent a signal out to my unconscious to kind of not do that thing. So I've just been playing with the power of language and how language has actually like imprisoned my experience here. And now I'm just being a lot more careful with how I speak. But especially it's been really kind of an amazing thing to kind of explore language in a way that I've never seen it before. I mean, I had no idea with the depth that Kate's talking about in English, but the Hebrew parallels have been really eye-opening for me. And I did want to kind of touch upon what you said, Kate, about how, like, especially about everyone being kind of like the same, although there are different pathways and we all have our own soul roots. In Hebrew, that the word for Israel, Yisrael, it means it means to go into the direction of the divine. It also means to wrestle, because that's why Jacob was called the one who wrestled with God. It also means to wrestle with God. It just means to dig deeper within yourself, to fight the demons inside of you. And the third one, which is actually the most important, which relates to sound, and I'm sure you are aware a lot about this, is actually it also means the songs of God. And so much of prophecy in ancient times, music was such a huge tool, and I think today we're starting to not really appreciate the power of music, both emotionally and creatively. And I'm just been starting to delve into the mystical powers of music, and I'm just curious if you have any insight into that, because I know that music kind of gets one into certain places within the mind that aren't easily accessible without the sound in moving in a certain way. So to speak, I guess everything is music. Right now when I'm speaking, that is music. But just the idea that certain sounds and the way they're said, like, it's like they open up portals and magical doorways within our consciousness, and it's just so fascinating.
Hey, Noah,
yeah,
I got a question for you. What would be the Hebrew word for love, for example?
Ahava.
Ahava. So there's the yin, ha. That's okay. There's H, which is Solomon's pillars with the rainbow bridge. That's the Greek letter Ita. E and A in the mirror is 6 and 9, the yin and the yang. What was it again? Ahava. Oh, and va, to go. Basically, to go. That's what it translates via Phoenician. Pretty close, huh?
To cross.
Yeah.
Say that last part again. You just cut out there for a second. To go.
Va, well, va in Spanish means to go, right?
So to go. Yeah.
You can pick any language and use the sound and correlate it, because Phoenician is all languages. This is the language that was broken up in Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I used to think we all spoke English, but see, that's it. It's only angel-ish. It's not true angel. Phoenician is angel, because it encompasses all languages. It was like when I was talking to Bill, he asked me about listening. Have I ever listened to Kitaro? And it's a Japanese guy, and I said, "Oh, I love the name though, because it means love and emitting love." You see, here's the one thing that I think separated me in terms of languages and phonics is I applied math, music, and words together. The note of love is T, do re mi fa sol la ti. You see, there's only 7 notes in the scale. You don't want to go back to do. You want to be a Homer Simpson, right? So there's only 7 notes. The crown chakra is the top chakra, and it is silent. Psi, L, Ent. The spirit of intent mind. So there is no noise at all. It's just pure intent coming out of the void darkness, right? So, and what color is the 7th chakra? It's purple. What does Phoenician mean? Purple people. Purple people eater, one-eyed, one-horned. Okay, well, one eye, there's your pineal, there's your single eye. One horn, well, that's the unicorn spiral, if you look at a unicorn. And where's it coming from? Right out of the one eye into the spiral of creation. And what does a unicorn represent? Well, it's white. It represents pure and utter truth. If you look at the coat of arms for England, what has it got? A unicorn, but it's got a crown around its neck with a chain. But here's the trick to it. It's not, that unicorn isn't bound. All that unicorn has to do is bow its head to drop the dead crown and then raise its head in truth. It's all allegorical here. I can show you this, and I spend countless hours talking with people about this all the time. It is so mind-blowing. All I like doing is making you right. And I can show you how. It's so. Are you going to debate with someone that's going to make you right all the time?
So I guess bringing everything kind of back to the world, kind of back to our practical everyday existence,
Right.
especially related to sound. It's like, I think the most important thing is just to realize, and I mean, in the Jewish tradition, it was just emphasized so much, was like, just for example, the power of, in Hebrew it's called Lashon Hara, just like evil tongue. And I've just seen it over and over again that certain people have said certain things to me about another person. And literally, those words have literally stained that person's perception, whether true or not, into my heart. And that it's actually, in so many ways, it's not just like, oh, you're hurting someone else's feelings, but it's also like the power of words to kind of stain your perception and your view. And it's almost like it's an intruder. And you have to have a really strong energetic field to I guess hear things that have so much malice intent, and yet still stay grounded within yourself, and still not allow those, I guess, intruders or demons that come in through the words to enter inside of you. Because I guess in the Kabbalistic universes, the levels of the universes, that what an angel and a demon really is just it's usually in the realm of speech, and it's just the energies that are attached to, I guess, words that we speak and things that we say carry angels or demons within them. And it's just basically, I guess, kind of what we're doing in this existence is just constantly traversing back and forth between, like, within ourselves, like, the good and evil, and not just in our actions, but in our words specifically. So, I mean, I think it's awesome to kind of know about the secrets underneath the language, but also just on a more practical level, bringing it back to earth. It's just the power of words that are going to shape the experience of the people we care about and the people we love here. And so I'm just kind of curious your perspective on how you kind of bring a lot of the things that you're talking about into this world, into, like, how am I going to talk to my mother better? Or how am I going to talk to my friends? Or how am I going to be a more compassionate person? Just kind of curious how you kind of relate the much more abstract, deep stuff that you're really delving into, and how do you bring it kind of to someone's heart?
Yeah, I will just say that's an excellent question here, and definitely focusing on practicality is key. And I'm just going to say we'll answer this, and then just sort of foreshadowing for the audience. We'll go back to those theoretical topics that we were going to talk about regarding, like, lost continents and Atlantis and Egypt, and even, you know, like, what was the language like in Egypt, and what was some of the phonetics that they used as well. But Kate, go ahead. Yeah, what is the practical ways that we can bring this knowledge into our day-to-day lives?
Okay, well, first thing I tell people all the time is you're in such a hurry. You have been so programmed with every word. Like, language is French, langage, which means tongue pledge. It comes out of the torus. That's what the torus field is, the toroidal. That's where the spirit breath of the Gemini lungs comes out through the pearly gates, teeth, into the station. This is why words are so potent, and you better get a grip on it, because every thought you have is a wish. Every wish you have will be granted. You see, do you remember the show I Dream of... Here, this is a very easy way to explain it to people. Do you remember the show I Dream of Jeannie? You guys are probably too young for this, but anyway, Barbara... It's not a coincidence that it was Barbara Eden and Larry Hagman, okay? So I've been into all that, but let's just keep it simple. The premise of the story was Larry Hagman's character found a genie bottle, rubbed it, and out pops Genie. Okay, and the comedy was stationed around where Larry had a friend it would talk to, and he would be saying, "I wish that and the other," and he'd have to keep correcting Jeannie. "No, I don't want that. No." But she would leave the room, and he would say something, and she would, you know, "Master, your wish is my command," and it would be the most literal version of what he said, and it created chaos, and they had to get rid of it by the end of the episode. And that's what everyone's doing every time they put something into the consciousness. They're creating that elephant in the literally. Like, everyone that thought of rabbit created a rabbit in a timeline somewhere. That's a fact. I know. I know how to move timelines. I've watched mine shift very quickly in the last week or two. But to get into practical terms of it, people just have to slow down. They just have to take the time to really hear, H-E-R-E, the words, to bring them home. So let me give you a fractal allegory of the physical and the ethereal. Oh, we got some noise in the background. Yay!
There we go. I'll take care.
There we go. Thank you. Which Rome are you paying attention to? And I mean this quite literally. All the books, the religious books that are being dealt, were all written by the same people. And I can show you how the Torah, the Quran, and the Bible all have the same title. It's very easy. It talks about the same thing, just based on phonics. So let's get into the physical to the ethereal. The physical Rome is what people physically, literally deem to be the church. They go to church, and of course they teach you that God is outside of you, which is completely backwards, and then they try to get you all guilty to shove an ego inside you, right? The little demon. That's the of me, by the way. It's not that thing with horns and all that. No. The demons are the demons, the of me's. Langage, tongue pledge. Mortgage, you might call it mortgage. Death pledge. Do you really want one of those? Didn't think so. Okay. So Rome, in the physical sense, wants to trap or harvest you, your creation of spirit. They want to harvest it. That's what phi, psi, kal is. Phi, sacred creation, sacred geometry, 1.618. Psi, spirit, kal, harvest. Okay? Now, the ethereal one is Rome, that's the right brain. That's the Abel versus Cain. Abel is able to walk all by herself, and by the way, Cain is a boy, Abel is a girl. And they told you it was two boys, and that's not true either. And actually, Santo proved it in Hebrew and a few other languages that Abel is in fact a girl. Well, I mean, hey, Belle, what is a belle? That's feminine in French, right? It also means war, too. Parabellum, cerebellum, which brain are you thinking with? Okay, so the Rome is the read-only memory of the right brain. Oh, it's just like a computer almost, eh? Yeah, so you better clear the RAM, the random access memory of the left, clear that out. You got to clean that off first before you can access the Rome, the read-only memory. Because you can't work a computer with a full RAM, can you? No, because it's really bogged down, and you'll get all sorts of wrong calculations. So you clear your RAM, then you can either look to the Rome within or the Rome without. And as above, so below, as within, so without. And that's why you're seeing Rome collapse. One of my puppets that I like to play with, it's part of my consciousness. I'm him. He's just another point of you. See what I mean about phonics? What are you saying? Point of view or point of you? I'm just another point of you, that's all. That's why you're me. You're magnetic electric, just like me, magnetic electric. So when you are trapped worshiping or partaking in the physical, literally, you have literally thrown your creative away. And here's how the system traps us. And I'm going to go to Christianity just because that's the one I came up with, and I love trashing that one the most anyway. Because it's not Christianity that they deal with, it's churchianity. It's all religio cosus chosenitis programming. So what happens here is, here's the church that tells you, you must take Jesus into your heart to be your Savior. No, that's not what the guy was teaching. He was saying, here's a fishing rod, go fish for yourself. And if you go to the right side of the boat, you'll find consciousness. Oh, they showed that in 153 fish. Since when do fishermen count their fish? Really? Really? Anyway, that's what I mean. People actually think some guy went into a fish for 3 days and came out and he was okay. I don't know about you, but I think by 3 days you're coming out, but you're not coming out the front end. So anyway, and people still take this literally, that snakes talk to people in gardens, that donkeys turn around and talk to someone that just hit them with a stick, and some guys get eaten by fish, and some guy walks on water. What that allegory is, water is truth. Everything's backwards. So if you're not, and Santo and I talk about this all the time, so if you're taking things literally, that's your all is full of litter. Your litter all. Your whole creation is full of garbage. Right? So here's the trap. If you take Jesus in as your Savior, what are you doing? Well, you got to give yourself to Jesus. So there you are, giving yourself away. Or you have the other option, sell your soul to Satan, or Saturn more accurately, the ashes of Sat, the dead, the book of the dead. And you do that through the Whore of Babylon, commerce, with the mark of the beast, legal name. And people think that the New World Order is coming. Well, the best way to keep somebody thinking that it isn't already here is keep telling them that it's coming. It's been here for thousands of years. I don't know what people don't get. But they're not looking. They're too busy getting caught up in all the distractions, and that's the way this game is. Are you going to be distracted? it anymore. If not, then you're going to see this. Otherwise, play your game. Be the little 5-year-old in the sandbox and cry and whine when you get a ticket and when you pay taxes. Fist fight, hold the light, or carry out the dead. By the way, the free men and the land types, they're the fist fighters. They still don't get it. They're still fighting in the Matrix. And the carry out the dead, well, they're the ones that are still fully asleep, think Walmart's a really cool thing when they have sales. And the only one that really matters is the holding of the light. There's your allegory of the 3 crosses, the 2 thieves, the Joker and the Fool, okay, or the Joker and the Thief. The only one that was there was the one holding the light. That's the Christ consciousness. And I can show you through sigils, you call them letters or whatever, Greek letters, that Rome, the earthly Rome, is the Antichrist. They use the chi rho symbol. That it looks like a P with an X on it. You've seen that symbol. But see, the true rho is a mirror of that. It actually goes to the left side. The Greek letter swings to the left. The Roman letters, or the Western, swings to the right. So that, to me, is the Antichrist, where we need to be the chi rho. What was the capital of Egypt? Cairo? Cairo? Yeah, because you can make it sound the same. And really, and this goes right back to Israel again, and I thank you for that, Noah. That was beautiful. What the Israelites were doing, where they were escaping Egypt, and if you look at a lot of the traditions of Judaism, these are transplanted from the days of the pharaohs. You might call them pharaohs. I just call them what they are. Sacred geometric spirit breath creations. They're the ones controlling that reality. And a lot of these traditions got carried through. And the Torah, there's your torus, your toroidal field. Ra, right angle, right ascension, light of God, Egyptian god Ra. So there's your Torah. Let's look at the Bible. By means duality, or authored by someone. Okay? Bull is also the Taurus. Taurus, bull, there's your Taurus field again. And how about the Cor, Ra, N? Cor is heart, French, Cour. Cour, Ra, the heart of the light of God, right angle, go to mind. So they're all saying the same thing. It all comes back to the same thing. And that's what Phoenician does. It busts every language, every culture back to its original beautiful phonics, sonics, like the Masonic is actually telling you mother sound, or the mother sun I see. Every letter is a word. Anyway, I could go on for hours on this stuff. What's next?
Yeah, and you do go on for hours, 7 days a week.
I know. Shut me up.
BlogTalkRadio.com/criticalmassradio. Check it out. Hear more from Kate. But yeah, let me just check in with Noah, see if he had anything quick to say on that. But I mean, at this point, we have 35 minutes left in the episode until we're officially off the clock, and then we'll switch gears into the after party. And there's quite a few things that I would still be able to like to get out there, and of course, reminding to our audience that, I mean, as much as everything Kate is saying here, it sounds great, and if it resonates with you, that's awesome. But don't stop it from thinking for yourself. Like, let this just be another portal to encourage you to continue to do more research on our own. A big thing with Paradigm Shift Radio is that we encourage you. It's not about telling you what to think. It's about encouraging you to think for yourself. So just keep that in mind with anything that you hear on this radio show or anywhere else. But like I said, I did want to get into some of the Egypt stuff. I wanted to get into the idea of King Solomon, maybe a little bit about Jesus. We do want to get more into the astrotheology side of things, and also, like going back to just sharing what Santos is about and some of the things that he really brings emphasis to, and we'll see what we can hit upon. And at this point, I will say, for the people listening, I'm not entirely sure if we'll be able to guarantee that we'll have live callers brought onto the air tonight, just with the amount of content that we are working with and the things that we want to get through, though I would still like to do potentially, or most likely, we'll set time for it after the button draw, is that we'll do a group meditation with this amount of live people. I think it's just a really powerful thing to be able to meditate on that. And let me just check with you, Kate, would you want to lead us into like sort of a verbal, meditative, reflective moment? If that's something you want to do?
Well, I see. All I ever tell people to do is get deep, get dark, and shut up.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And let the right brain rosés plant in your left brain ragweed garden for a change instead of planting the same stuff over again expecting a different crop.
All right. Okay. Well, that's something I can lead us into that once we get there. So
Please,
that's not a problem. We'll do that. So we'll have a group meditation later in the episode. And again, so just reminding people as I post a link for this in the live chat, if you want to get in the draw for the free buttons, you can send a message to Paradigm Shift Radio on Facebook and just tell us that you want to be entered into the draw. Again, you can order buttons through the main website at any time, ParadigmShiftCentral.com/buttons. We'll do the button draw with about 10 minutes left in the show. So again, let me just check in with Noah and see what's up with him. So Noah, what any thoughts that you wanted to share on this? Nothing too in depth, but anything that you just wanted to mention.
Yeah, I guess so. It's just kind of, and I know that there's a lot of different, in all the traditions, there's kind of different ancient prophecies, and I don't try to get too caught up in the words, I mean, in following, in like spending that much time with it, but it's so important to me. And I was actually with a rabbi of mine yesterday who basically told me that to actually become a prophet, the rigorous process was just it was unbelievable. And one of the things he said to me was that the one reason, or the one way to determine who was going to be a prophet was their ability to predict the future. But not just predict the future like one can do by practicing kind of a magic or kind of certain necromancy and things like that. He basically said that if a prophet were to predict, for example, in this era, 9/11, for example, and said there's going to be 2 towers that break down, there's going to be, it's going to happen on this day and this time, but he said that 3,200 people died and not 3,201, because it was actually 3,201, he would not be considered a prophet. So the actual depth of perception and an understanding of kind of the universal mind that communicates through them was such an unbelievable amount of accuracy. And so what's really just been fascinating me, and I just wanted to kind of read it in about 15 seconds, was just not only that the times of kind of prosperity and peace that have been kind of imparted from the prophets for thousands of years, that we were going to reach a time of universal consciousness of basically peace and unity and understanding of our oneness, but that the time preceding it, here are just a couple very short tidbits about what they say the time preceding it is, and it is just scary how this is happening in our world. And the reason why I just want to share it is just to know that our power is within us to change it, because we're creating it. So basically, the times before, I guess, the Messianic era it describes the world condition in as follows: there's an increase in insolence and impudence, oppressing inflation, unbridled irresponsibility on the part of authorities. Centers of learning will turn into bawdy houses. Wars, many destitutes begging, with none to pity them. Wisdom shall be putrid. The pious shall be despised. Truth will be abandoned. The young will insult the old. Family break up with mutual recriminations. Impudent leadership. So basically, what's just been so unbelievably and it goes on and on and on. It's not meant to be like doomsday here. It's just meant to realize that look, there are so many things that seem outside of our control right now, which are a lot of the things that I just spoke to you about. But like Kate's been kind of getting at, is that especially related to language, it's totally within our power to create this new reality that we all want to envision. And the reason kind of why I'm interested in looking at the prophecies of these days is because the more I bring it into my consciousness, the more it becomes real, and then the more it becomes real, the more it actually manifests and is felt within other people. And so I think everyone kind of is feeling that there's a transition, but just realize it's as imminent as we're ready to believe it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where I've been at right now, is just we can bring about this time as quickly and as rapidly as we are ready to do. And that's all I just kind of wanted to share, is that it's up to us right here and right now to deal with this. And if we don't, oh boy, it kind of just feels like there's we all know that there's going to be a huge transformation. It's just a matter of how it's going to come about. Are we going to do it with love, or are we going to wait till all hell breaks loose? And that's why I make the decision every day. I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to do it, And that's kind of wanted to leave off.
Nice, no, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, no, definitely going back to the idea that we, I always think about it. I mean, it makes sense that we came here to play on hard mode, but just because we're playing on hard mode doesn't mean that it has to be a daunting task. But it means that there's a lot more for us to achieve. And you're right, just definitely reminding people that it begins with the thoughts in your head. So just taking more responsibility for that as well, in some degree or another. But Kate, I again, just the clock is ticking down on this. If you have any response to what Noah shared, please do. But my next question would be, just kind of moving along, my next question would be, where do the topics related to lost continents such as Atlantis and Mu and moving forward into Egypt, how does that relate into understanding who we are today based on what Santos has talked about in his presentations and his teachings? But answer the first part first if you want.
Sure. Well, actually, it's the same answer for all of them, because what they all are simple allegories telling the same story. They're all synchronistic. They're, again, the same story told from different perspectives in the illusion that somehow they're past. You see, I can only speak from the observation position, not being in that particular timeline right now, because there is no past, there is no future. Like Noah had talked about pro-phi-psi, prophecy, I think you call it. That is for the creation of mind. And when you see, this is the magic. When you understand this is you start to manipulate the physical reality around people to what you choose. So Phonics is the key to getting you back into a causal position. You see, for every contract, and it is all about contract. If you have agreed to something that is based on someone else's intent, that includes the sigils, okay? That includes the music, the sound, the agreements that we all have. If you agree, then you have what I call a Pinocchio string that you need to cut in order to get the real live, quote, boy. Now, B, again, is 13th warrior. B, capital B, is a 13 that's conjoined. O is creation. Y is the top part of the tree of life. Zeus's thunderbolt, to bring the Greek into it, it looks like two opposing Y's. It's not a jagged thing. It's a long staff with a Y at each end, and that is the as above, so below. Now, to get into Egyptian, one of the things I love about Egyptian, you've probably heard the term alchemy, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's go phonetic and tell you what it really means. And I'm going to use some Egyptian in here and a few other things. All, we can take that literally. Now, an all is a tool for digging out a boat. What is a boat? A ship is a mind. Again, you have to keep following these trails to see where they end up. All, kem, in Egyptian, is the sound for black, darkness. E is magnetic electric. So it is all black magnetic electric. That's what alchemy is. It's trying to show that where all of creation comes from. So it really starts to make sense as to why Hollywood and of course the church and wherever love to paint darkness as a scary, evil place. Only the bad comes out of the dark, right? No, they boo. They scare you from dark rooms. But you see, for me, I was born on the other side of the mirror as a trans being, so everything was backwards in my mirror anyway. So it was very easy for me to see this. And that's what alchemy is. It's discovering the hidden. That's what occult is, hidden meanings. Mm-hmm. That's why Bill is so great at it, hiddenmeanings.com, and Santo, and I'm pretty handy at it myself.
Definitely. Actually, okay, so there might be still more to talk about there if there was anything that you want to talk about Atlantis. One thing I did just want to mention in terms of synchronicity, because I just noticed this, the fact that you did that interview with Bill Donahue, I did some quick research. Me and Bill Donahue actually have the same birthday, which I just thought was like really bizarre, but like synchronistic at the same time.
Oh, you're Cancerian.
July 18th. Yeah, on the cusp of Leo.
Yeah, do you know what Cancer means? And this is why they wanted to make Cancer evil. I'll be really quick on this.
Let's get into the astrotheology just for a little bit. But go ahead, explain. Yeah, let's do this. Let's segue into astrotheology. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, the phonics of Cancer, right? This is what Phoenician, the crown of Cancer is. Ka en se ro. Ka, spirit, en makes it mind. The spirit mind, se, of himself, herself, itself, the divine trinity, and spirit. Cancer and Gemini are the highest on the zodiac when you follow the sine wave. And you've seen Santos diagrams, right? I see things in a ball form, so I take it 3D in my head. But at the highest point in the zodiac is where Gemini and Cancer meet. That is the high point where the positive ends, and then you move into the positive negative, where it's in the light but falling. Then you get the double negative of the Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, which is falling in the dark. Then you get the positive or the negative positive of Capricorn, Pisces, or Aquarius, Pisces, where it's in the dark but it's climbing. Aries, Taurus, and Gemini are climbing and in the light. So that is why the creation is in that quadrant. Then harvest is in the next one. Then the darkness is in the next one, and then coming back into rebirth. That's why Capricorn is the Christ consciousness. All of these things in the Zodiac, I really would like to go around the Zodiac quickly. I don't know where you want to go, but I like to show people how to at least start looking at their map.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think even just in terms of introducing the topic of astrotheology, because like one of the things that I'm really, if we were to sort of like break this down in terms of what astrology is and why it matters. I mean, from sort of the big picture kind of way that I understand it, the way how I choose to perceive it, is that, again, like we as like consciousness chose to come into this reality. And all of us are sort of like perspectives pointing back to a single truth. And the idea is that we incarnate into this reality from those different perspectives. And those different perspectives, kind of like the circle of the Zodiac, are coming in from different sort of characteristic traits. And what I sort of think about the astrology aspect is that, like, when you actually study your astrology, you know, if you're a Gemini and you read up about Gemini, if you're a Libra, you read up about Libra, you start to realize that, be like, hey, that's me, like that's me. And what I think that is that like that is like our nature. That is like, as a Cancerian, I am very Cancerian-esque, so to speak. But part of what I think, and Kate will surely explain about this more, is that like just because we come in from one side of the Zodiac is the idea that is where we are coming in from. So we want to like master that house first, and then to actually be able to like embody the characteristics like of all the Zodiac signs within the astrology charts, and then we become like this full being in that potential kind of thing. But again, like I think it's really interesting, and even just from a quick scientific point of view, this is something that I read in a book once, but it's the idea that like the Zodiac signs actually correlate to this idea that during different times of the year, the sun itself is giving off different radiation, and the slight variation in the radiation actually affects like the growth of a child while it's still in the womb of its mother. And like through this process of the radiation being slightly different, it changes like who the child will be when it comes out, sort of thing. So I mean, whether or not like at least for me that does kind of make sense, because the sun, you know, there's a scientific aspect to that. But yeah, really just emphasizing that there is some legitimacy to being able to understand how astrology plays a role in us sort of choosing to come into this incarnation with different sort of character traits. Again, going back to like an MMORPG video game type analogy, like it's sort of like we choose our character before we spawn into this level, into this realm, and different characters sort of come in with different traits, so to speak. But yeah, so Kate, go ahead, just tell us more about why astrology are astrology and astrotheology two different things, is my first question.
Well, astrotheology and astrology are astrology is just one part of it. It really doesn't bring in the whole synchronistic holy science of it. Very important, astrology, of course. You move into astrotheology when you really start to understand what's going on. So here, let me make it simple for people. Everyone gets caught in the illusion that they are one sign. Mm-hmm. No, that's only one of the disciples. You've got to be all 12 disciples before you can be Ophiuchus. You got to be all 12 zodiacs. So look at the 12 slices of the pie, the creation, 3.142857, etc. Okay, and I'll use me as an example because it's better yet. Well, I can use me because I know my experience, so I will share how I found my path. It's the same as I'm going to tell you that you have to leave from London, Ontario, and go to Kamloops without a map, not allowed to ask for directions, and there are no road signs. How long do you think it'll take you to get to Kamloops? Probably take you a while, huh? Well, right. See, that's what everyone's doing. They're trying to get from where they are to a city 3,000 or 4,000 kilometers away with no road map, no road signs, and no one to talk to. All right? So that makes it rather difficult. So here's your road map. So I came in as Gemini, so that is my initial game piece. There's 12 game pieces. That's just one of them. That is the initial start of your path. And the clue to this, I'll go around the Zodiac, and I know this is recorded, so download this for this information. This is critical. It's not what I covered all the time. The Zodiac goes, Aries is I am. You must also know I am not. Always put it in the mirror. Taurus is I have or I have not. Now, you can put an L in there, and it's silent, so that's I cut in half or I don't cut in half not. And Taurus is the creation field, toroidal field, that is duality. So you have to bring that duality back into singularity. So that's those that are Taurus, very fixed. You got to learn to be a little bit more mutable and a whole lot more cardinal about it. Gemini is I think, so I had to learn to I think not. Shut down the twin Mercury outboards going off all day. That's the left brain monkey chatter. Also, Gemini is the only sign in the Zodiac that is the spirit. That's why the Gemini is a messenger of the gods, because it rules the lungs and the arms. But you all have every one of the Zodiacs from the feet to the head, and I'll go through that as well. Then you move into Cancer, which rules that says I feel not. So you have to balance those out. And Cancer rules the breast. Gemini rules the arms and the lungs. Taurus rules the throat. Aries rules the head. Heaven or hell, you choose. Then we move to Leo, which is rules the heart, the fa, the root note of creation, do, re, mi, fa. Okay, and it says I will not. Then we move to Virgo, which rules the womb. That's the virgin, right? The womb of creation, abdomen, and it says, I analyze not. The reason why it's about thinking as well is because Mercury rules Virgo as well as Gemini. Then we move from Virgo to Libra, which now we're moving in below the center line into the dark. Libra says, I balance. You have to learn to I balance not. Libra rules the kidneys, and that is where the waters of Aquarius are created. They call it urine. Of course, that's what heaven is, Uranos or Uranus, and that is when Jesus talked of follow the water bearer, the man carrying the pitcher of water, follow him to the upstairs. Look up Andrew Norton Weber for urine therapy, and that will give you the keys to repairing the brain that you've ripped apart so much with drinking and wasting and all the rest of it. And then we move from Libra into Scorpio. Scorpio is the one that says I want not, and of course it rules the genital region. That can be heaven and hell too. So there's your 7 chakras from Scorpio to Aries. Now we move below that into Sagittarius, which says I see not, and it rules the thighs. Now to see, you'll see the physical. What the Sagittarius part of you needs to just because you can't see infrared, ultraviolet, gamma, and all the rest of it doesn't mean it's not there, because it is. The visible light is only 1% of the spectrum or less. Now we move from Sagittarius to Capricorn. Capricorn is the Christ aspect of our consciousness, because December 25th falls in Capricorn, and that's where the sun turns around to start making its march towards the east again. 21st on the winter solstice, the sun stops in the sky, is in the tomb for 3 days, it does not move, and then on the 25th the sun is born again and it starts moving back towards the east. That's the Christ consciousness. We just came through that. Now we move into Aquarius. Oh, by the way, Capricorn is about I experience not. And that's truth can only be found through experience and how you relate to it with the rest of your signs. And you are all 12. So Capricorn rules the knees. Move to Aquarius, which rules the shins or the calves. This gets really crazy real quick. But anyway, it rules the calves, and Aquarius says, I know not. Then we move to the feet, the only other twin sign in the Zodiac, which is ruled by Pisces. There's your Vesica Pisces, which is actually the hex, because everything in a Vesica Pisces comes out to 60 degrees, where you get a 360-degree circle. And we should be using the, I call it the Vesica Trices, right? Which it looks like a trillium. And that creates a 45, which is 9, consciousness. And Pisces says, I believe not. We just came out of Pisces, and there's still some people that believe things instead of knowing them. Mark Passio loved his quote. He was on my show one night, and I laughed when he told me this story. It So if someone came up to him and said, Mark, I don't believe what you're saying to be true, and Mark just looked at him and said, well, truth doesn't require your belief, which is a perfect answer. So there we go. Aries is the head to the feet. Now, if you want to understand what fallen angles are and how everything correlates, don't get literal on this. Get real anagogic. We left the age of Aries to go into Pisces. So we left from the top of the head, the highest level, to the feet. That is the largest angle that we can fall, and why we're fallen angles or fallen angels. There's many more layers to that too, but that's just one anagogic allegory. Okay, so you have to learn to be both. And once you can go through all of those signs and see the quad nature of them, and I can get into that, but I won't. I want to keep this simple. You'll start to really understand things. So I came in as a Gemini. I know what my role is, and I also look at Mayan. I'm duality Kawak, which is 2, storm. Yeah, I do that. And my part of that is, Mayan part is white solar mirror. That's what my birthday represents. And boy, am I ever. I figured that out with myself first, of course. And then looking at the Chinese zodiac, I was born in the year of the dragon. So I had all my clues that I put together that get me on my roadmap. And now that I'm in a position where everything I say is cause, because it is, I'm not trapped in the spells any longer. I have my own spells that I can cast now. That's how you change your reality. And regardless of what people think or believe, I don't care, because my reality is mine and I know how to shift it, and I'm going to see a new, improved version of you in the next timeline I slide to anyway, so it's all good, because everything is already created. In the beginning, God created all things. You got to create the video game grid before you put your player on it, yeah?
Yes.
That's all we're doing.
Yeah, and I mean, even with the astrology thing, the thing that I love about it is going back to the microcosm, macrocosm sort of thing. It's the idea like that our physical body is literally like a micro representation of the heavens above us. Do you want to just talk about that even just a little bit more? Or?
Okay, well, you had me at microcosm and macrocosm. Right? Do you know why they have crows at the Tower of London? And it was said that the kingdom would fall if the crows ever left. Can I tell you what he means anagogically?
Yes, you may.
Well, what is the main corporation that rules this planet? Everything's registered to it. All the bar members are. It's the Crown Corporation, which is the crone. You can pronounce it crone, right? And you can also spell it C-R-O-N-E, which is the old crone. And of course, what is crone? Kronos, Saturn. So it's both. See, there's your male and female in the one place. So why they had crows there? It's an allegory when you can see it. What sound does the crow make? Cause. Cause, get it?
Mm-hmm.
Cause? C-A-W-S or C-A-U-S-E? Now, what is cause? Ka, spirit, U, international symbol for electricity, which is masculine intent, say. So it is the spirit with intent into himself, herself, itself creation. Do you want that back or not? So while you were part of the crone, making the other crown yours, the dead crown, crone mother, the whore of Babylon, dead mother, corpse, crown corpse, then you are one of her dead babies. And what was Cronus famous for? Feeding the dead babies to, he would eat them. Remember
Wonderful.
The story of the Titans and the gods? Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades were the three that got away. Zeus, or I think you might say Jesus. There's another one too. If you want to become the Christ, they tell you in the clues, Jesus, all you have to do is put I back into it, put yourself back into Jesus, and you have je suis, I am, French.
Mm-hmm.
It is so literally freaking hilarious how this goes together. You guys, it'll blow your mind. Spend some time on my website, do a little reading, you'll love it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm a creative writer. I have fun when I write.
And I'll remind people again, the website for that, you can check out more of Kate's awesome work, awesome knowledge at kateofgaia.wordpress.com, and I'll post a link for that into the show notes as well. And at this point, there's only 10 minutes left in the show, so we're going to be wrapping things up here in the next couple of minutes as we get into our button draw, and then we're going to get into our meditation as well, our collective global group meditation, which will just be fairly simple, just sort of reflecting on some simple ideas, but very potent with the amount of live people that we have tuned in here tonight. And before before I do that, again, just reminding people, thank you so much for tuning in. And you can find this episode and any of the past episodes of Paradigm Shift Radio at the main website at paradigmshiftcentral.com/PSR. So you can find all that through YouTube and as well as MP3, so that you can take the show with you wherever you need to go. And also, if you enjoy this program, if you enjoy Paradigm Shift and Paradigm Shift Central and what it's about, helping bring more consciousness into this world, and you want to be able to help support the ongoing creation of conscious media, then please consider signing up as a Paradigm Shift monthly supporter for only $4 a month, which is a very micro contribution at paradigmshiftcentral.com/donate, and that's greatly appreciated. And big shout out to all the people who are signed up for that, and that's helping take steps towards making this project sustainable, so that I can continue to be here with you guys every single week, doing this as long as I am here for. So, because I love doing it and I love having you guys here, and it really is making a difference. So, Kate, with that said, I mean, just sort of wrapping up on any sort of last thoughts, like literally just within like a 1 minute kind of paraphrase, what are some of the main things that you just want people to be able to leave this episode in mind with?
Well, I love for people to get a hold of me. One of my, I guess, claims to fame is when people contact me, I actually respond to them, because I want to talk to people. I want them to know that we're all connected, and I want to do different than any other radio host in that regard. And I gotta tell you guys, you said you were 26, Brendon. How old are you, Noah?
Noah's muted, but he's like 24 or something. Noah, how old are you?
I'm 21.
21.
That's right.
Okay, now, you guys are absolute proof of what I talk about. It does not matter the age, okay? I know lots of people that are older than me that are acting like 14-year-olds, and I know people that are much younger than me that are sages and you guys are those. So thank you. You have brought so much beautiful. I got to tell you, I am an impossible interview for most, and you got to take this as a compliment of compliments. I am an impossible interview for most radio hosts because their egos get in the way and they're too busy trying to be drama queens and kings. You guys are just anytime. And my table is open, but I want people to be able to get a hold of me. So my
Definitely.
Skype is katie.renee.thompson, KATIE.RENEE.THOMPSON. My Facebook, I've got room for a couple of hundred more. Running out of space real quick. You can get that at kate.renee.5. That's KATE.RENE.5. And for those that really, really, really need to get a hold of me, my cell number is 226-971-9675. Easy to get a hold of. You got my website, and come on to the table, all of us. Look at the collective consciousness going on here. That's all guys, we have the game. I know, because I have my cause back, and we're having a hell of a good time doing it.
Absolutely. And, of course, listen to Kate 7 days a week pretty much. Yes. Oh, thank you, Kate. I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure, and definitely looking forward to co-creating some more. And again, check out Critical Mass Radio on Blog Talk, pretty much like 7 days a week, and there's a lot of awesome stuff there. So just keeping things moving along, and not to rush this, but just reminding people that there will be the after party hangout. You can find a link for that up through facebook.com/Paradigm Shift Radio. Anybody can join that, continue the conversation. It will go for the next couple hours at least. But at this point, we're going to do the draw for the buttons, and then we're going to get ready to go into our meditation from there. So I got all the names in front of me for the buttons. So again, shift buttons, you can order them online, paradigmshiftcentral.com/buttons, tools to help build community and assist in the awakening of consciousness. Awesome stuff. So this week's winner for the shift buttons, as I do a little Om going into this, Kate, if you want to join me in an Om real quick. So Om, and the universe has synchronistically chosen Danny. All right. So Danny is this week's winner for the shift buttons, and I'm going to make sure that we message him, and he's going to get those. So congratulations, Danny. And again, big shout out to everybody for being a part of the show. And you can find the show up on YouTube afterwards, and please continue to share it. So with that said, I'm going to get right into the meditation as we just sort of wrap up, and then we'll just get like another 30 seconds. So Kate, thank you again, and I'm just going to mute you, and we'll bring you on with the last 30 seconds to do our official farewell. So thank you, Kate.
Sure.
And I'm just going to mute you for now. And again, so everybody, let's get ready to go into our meditation. So if everybody would just want to get nice and comfortable. And the important thing with meditation is that it shouldn't be necessarily something that feels like it needs to be rushed, but it's definitely a practice of returning to a place that we are familiar with, to that place of calmness and of stillness. So allowing ourselves to become more familiar with that place of stillness and of peace. So I'm just going to play a little bit of music in the background as we all just get comfortable. So if everybody just wants to be able to join me in this. So just get comfortable, whatever that means to you. If you're sitting on the chair, if you're sitting on your bed, and just relaxing yourself. So just gently moving your body just a little bit, just so that you can release any extra tension as you prepare yourself to move into that place of stillness. And as you do, you move into that place where you allow your mind to bring some very interesting and very potent thoughts and ideas to your attention, to be able to bring clarity to your vision. So let's connect with the breath globally for all the people listening to this. So a gentle inhale through the nose. Gentle exhale through the nose. And again, gentle inhale through the nose. Gentle exhale through the nose. And just using this moment, listening to my voice, continuing to focus on the rhythm of your breath. With each inhale, just allowing yourself to become more relaxed. With each exhale, just allowing yourself to embody what it is that you are here to be. Gentle exhale. Just taking a moment to reflect on all of the amazing people who are here, all of us who are here sharing this journey of remembering what this reality is, but more importantly, the potential that we have to create within it. So literally, for all of you, whether you're listening to this in the present or in the future, connect to the knowing that each of us is exactly where we need to be in order to get to where we are going. Just being able to connect with the breath. And that breath, as simple as it is, allows us to get out of our own way so we can become a more clear conduit for the universe itself to express itself in the multitude of exciting ways that we choose to live our lives. So again, gentle inhale, gentle exhale. And just visualizing with every person listening to this meditation across the world, shooting a beacon of light out from where they are in every direction, up into the sky, towards the north, the east, the south, the west, and also down into the root, connecting to the heart of Mother Gaia, Pachamama. And as we all extend those beacons, imagine them connecting, all of us connecting where we are, and knowing that that connection already exists, is already very real. Because as one of us learns, we all learn. As more of us continue to walk our path, the doors continue to open so that others can see them where they are, so that others can continue to move closer towards finding the truth within their own lives. So again, just connect with the breath, just relax, and just carry this embodiment, just being able to find courage and strength, and find that compassion and love, and keep it with you, and carry it with you through everything that you do in this wonderful adventure that we call life. So just continue to stay in a meditative stance, relax. I'm just going to bring Kate back on, and we're just going to say our farewells for now. So again, thank you so much to everybody who has tuned in with us, and join us in the after party. Find that on the Facebook page for Paradigm Shift Radio. And Kate, any last words that you just want to share before we go offline?
Oh, just much love to everybody. We have the game. Just keep your thoughts high and positive. Don't be distracted by the illusion, and stay the course, steady as she goes.
Awesome. So again, thank you everybody for being a part of this show. Everybody has a role to play. So continue to bring love into your life. And I'm just going to bring Noah on, and we're just going to all say goodbye together. Noah, any last words from Noah? Oh, Noah dropped out too. So, all right. So, Kate, join me in saying farewell to the internet. So, until next time, internets, join us again. So, bye-bye, internets. Bye, internet.
Bye-bye, internet. Love you guys. Take care. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks a lot, Kate. One love.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Paradigm Shift Radio. If you would like to connect with people where you are and continue the conversations further, then check out ParadigmShiftCentral.com/buttons to order your supply of shift buttons to share with people to help invite them to this global project while also helping make new friends and building local community where you are. Shift buttons are tools to hack the matrix and tap into the synchronistic nature of reality to accelerate our collective awakening. Enter the promo code PSR into your order to receive additional bonus buttons to your supply. Thank you again, and one love.